That's not an AD carry ban, it's actually Chriso. Chriso loves to play AP Ezreal in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I think also Slight is a pretty good Ezreal player himself. So Slight actually coming in for FM here. I think Samwise is away on holiday, so having to play with a replacement AD carry. Slight actually not a stranger to the UK scene himself. Won I-51, came second to I-51.
Rain Gaming, wasn't it?
Rain Gaming came second, and actually Billy Fufu was also on Rain Gaming at that point. He was known as Nutri at that point, so he was also the jungler. So we'll have some synergy with Slight, having played on the team previously, and Tundra immediately locking in that Irelia for himself. And to be honest, you guys have seen it on Reddit front page, Tundra is a fantastic Irelia player.
Absolutely superb Irelia player. He did leave, of course, that Gnar available. Dan hovering over the Twisted Fate jungle, which we saw at IEM. Gonna not spoil it again for anyone else, but if you haven't watched the VODs from IEM, make sure you grab them at some point, because Twisted Fate jungle was brought out by one of the teams. Janna being locked in here for Bezwa. He's played a lot of Nami, loves Nami, he plays that a lot with the Cambridge Longers, but deciding to go for the Janna a little bit safer, a little bit more able to keep his AD carry away from the all-in engage that we're going to see from Irelia.
Yeah, it was, again, Vedius potentially taking away the Lee Sin for himself, so Dan won't have it, won't be going on to that Nocturne like we saw previously. Definitely struggled in the early game, Dan from Infused. Dan being very aggressive and managing to shut him down.
Well, that's going to be so hard later on. When FM play Infused in the 6th match of the day, it's going to be, and Dan the jungler's coming in, and Dan the other jungler's coming in. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But at the moment, it is Dan v Vedius in that jungle. Vedius looks like he's going to pick up Lee Sin. Quad Cannon locking in the graves for Carnifexes. And now Carnifexes had a great game on Lucian. Actually, the only lane to beat out the Infused lane in that last game. Can he bring that form into this one?
Well, you know, he played really well, but Lucian is his best champion by far. Yeah. So obviously you've got defaulting onto a champion that he's also pretty decent at, but may not have the same kind of mastery. I think all of the null games that I've seen Carnifexes play, the majority of them have been on Lucian, and the majority of them have been him playing Lucian to a fantastic level. It's potentially going to be an Elise, which I do know Dan does like to play from time to time. Yeah. We've kind of seen Elise fall from the top tier of junglers. She hasn't been up there for quite a while, but still has the potential to do very well. Obviously has that in passive innate sustain built into her kit, so can survive the jungle, you know, better than most other champions. But I would expect Vedius, if he's going to be aggressive, probably a good target to try and be aggressive onto in the form of that Elise.
Definitely, and Elise being locked in along with that Thresh for Billy Fufu. Billy Fufu has quite a wide champion pool for someone who's only just moved to support. Very similar to Wawa's as well. He's got the Sona, Thresh, Janna, Nami, really. Those are his big four. Very good on that Thresh, loves landing those hooks. Now, we've already seen the Janna being locked in for the bot lane coming out here from Cambridge Dongers. Along with that Graves, gives him a lot of ability to be aggressive, and you can, of course, knock Thresh out of his hook if you manage to hit that Howling Gale properly. But ooh is right, Scoundrel. Is this going to be a Malzahar from Quad Cannon?
Yeah, Quad Cannon obviously just a fantastic mid laner in general, and bringing out that Malzahar is sort of an ode to GeoBears. GeoBears played that a lot in the UK scene recently. Going to be a Malphite being hovered over here, and may even be a LeBlanc for Quad Cannon. Still not opting to bring out that Syndra, is going to go for the LeBlanc instead. So again, expect high level play. Didn't have the best early game, but I don't expect FM to pull out anything crazy like a melee lane swap into this. They're going to have their mid lane picked last. Also, Chriso going to have the option to pick up his Orianna if he does indeed choose to do so. Probably a decent team to pick the Orianna into too also. So again, Chriso has that option available to him.
There's a lot of options available for Chriso really in the mid lane. Syndra's still up if he wants to go for that. The LeBlanc matchup is one where there's a lot of harassment coming out from LeBlanc with that distortion early game, but if you can wave clear quickly, if you can push her back, stop her from being able to roam around and not give up easy kills, people like Orianna are great against her because they can command protect themselves, keep themselves relatively safe in that lane, but it looks like it's going to be a Kassadin here from Chriso, so going for a little bit of mobility as well as soon as he hits that level 6.
Yeah, Kassadin going to be locked in to Carnifexes. I can imagine that would be an okay matchup in a lot of senses because you have the Null Sphere to negate a lot of the burst damage, but if Quad Cannon starts to get the advantage, I can expect that Chriso will actually start to have a difficult time in that mid lane. the only thing I can think of is Chriso is really quick with his auto attacks, and he does get a Nether Blade as LeBlanc looks to distort into to proc any of Sigil of Malices. Then Qualicannon can take a lot of return damage, while Chriso will be looking to negate some damage with the use of his null spheres. All about timing, all about being quick with your reactions, I think, in this mid lane. But for the majority of the sense, Qualicannon should have the advantage here.
Yeah, definitely. And he's got all of that extra harassment potential in the early game. As soon as Chriso hits 6, I expect to see a little bit more roaming coming out from him. He'll be trying to help out Tundra in that top lane, trying to get some ganks off with Dan as well. But before that, Qualicannon definitely is going to be dominant in that lane. And Maznamic versus Tundra, we haven't talked about this that much. Maznamic had a good game last game on that. Yorick had... it wasn't superb, but Yorick, you never expect a standout performance.
Exactly.
He's just strong. He's safe.
He had a difficult lane against Geobed to start with, and then Rifty got ahead, they swapped back into it, and again he was targeted quite heavily. I feel like Maznaric was targeted quite a lot in that last game as Infuser playing, but he's on a little bit of a more effective champion, will have more of a direct impact on the game with this Malphite, able to use that ultimate to the best of his advantage. But he's going up against Tundra, and this is a pretty decent matchup for the Irelia, just in the sense that although her attack speed can be slowed, despite what Maznaric builds in terms of defense, he can still burst through any of his armor that he looks to build up with that heightened style. And I imagine Tundra will be confident going into this matchup against the Malphite, but it does depend where Malphite chooses to build from. He can either go for a full AP build, which we do see, we have seen. I mean, it's not effectively the most effective in top lane, but it does work out if you want to do it. We can go for that tanky, basically just the unstoppable 4 spot, and then try and be the frontline tank with maybe a bit of damage coming in through just being pretty awesome with that ground slam. Obviously gets a little bit of damage from the armor as well. So we'll have to see, but obviously I'm feeling like Tundra probably will be quite confident in this matchup. Obviously Vidia's also on Lee Sin. I haven't seen him play too much Lee Sin, but I do know it is a champion that he's got under his belt in terms of mastery. And Qualicannon on LeBlanc. Now, Qualicannon is very mechanically good. He obviously had a little bit of a tough game last game on the Vigar, but then, you're picking Vigar, you weren't expecting the Zins out.
And even then, he ended up going positive at the end of it. Like, he started to get those picks, started to get catches off, and I expect to see him doing that a lot more on this LeBlanc, because you've got a bit more mobility, you've got that ability to catch people off. If he gets the early Deathfire Grasp, maybe gets a couple of kills in lane, maybe gets a good dragon fight, or a good bot lane team fight like we've seen from Infused a couple of times, he can definitely start snowballing and help out all of his other lanes.
The thing about this mid lane as well now is that obviously neither of them have silence on their Q abilities. So there's no silence on Sigil of Malice, which used to be called Sigil of Silence, and there's no silence on Null Sphere anymore. So
although it does stop channels. So if we ever see Chriso versus Maznamic with the teleport, it's a possibility.
There's a possibility there. But obviously now either of them, when they do look to go in for a trade, there will always be return damage. You can never get the free trades like you used to be able to, especially on LeBlanc. She was notorious for getting free trades with that Sigil of Silence, but obviously now we'll have to respond to a Null Sphere and potentially a Nether Blade, which like we said, if Chriso is quick off the mark, could potentially get a Nether Blade as soon as the distortion comes in to proc that Sigil of Malice. So obviously there is a scope for Chriso to return trade. And in the bot lane, we've got Carnifex and Bezwa on the Janna, and Graves going up against Billy Fufu on his Thresh. Very aggressive with his Night Spell, and Slight going to be picking up that Corki. I know that Slight is a fairly good AD player across the board, has a mastery in almost every AD carry. I saw him play a lot of Vayne previously in the past, but obviously Vayne having fallen off from the competitive scene a little bit, Corki a little bit more of a safe pickup against Graves especially, allows you to trade a little more easily with him than other AD carries. So we're about to roll into game now, guys. This is game 3 of the day between Cambridge Dongers and FM. Cambridge need to win this to stay in with a chance of qualifying. If they do lose this, it should be impossible for them to qualify. So this is a big game for Cambridge. Obviously FM also wanting to start this game off with a bang. They don't want to get off on the wrong foot in this group stages. They want to make sure that they secure themselves a qualification spot as Infused, definitely in the driving seat in Group A right now as we start to head into game. Yeah,
we are just getting in through the loading screen, guys. We haven't talked a lot about it, but what do you think of this Elise pick in the jungle? Something we used to see a lot, something that was sort of rose to fame at the start of Season 3, was very strong, sort of fell off a little bit in Season 4, haven't seen it a huge amount. Now, she can be quite strong. She's got the cocoon. She's got her skittering spiders as well to get the clear off, and she gets, of course, all of that health back from her skittering frenzy, the W when she's in her spider form. But is she going to have as much effect on a fight as we're going to see VDS on this Lee Sin? He's got a little bit more mobility. He's got a little bit more pressure, I think, on that Lee Sin. Yeah,
interestingly, obviously Elise did fall off ever since the nerf to her cocoon, which means that she does less lockdown with her cocoon in the early levels. You have to put more points in it to get a similar level of lockdown. As we are just heading into the level 1 here, guys, so you'll soon see that up on your screen. But as we know, Elise has fallen off since that, and obviously she had a lot of her base damages nerfed, because Elise was notorious for going full magic penetration, and obviously building no AP, relying all of her percentage health-based damage to get the damage down as well. So again, we'll have to just see how that one pans out. But Elise has fallen off for a reason, still is a viable jungle pick. Just obviously there is a, I think she's really being picked up again more for her sustain than anything else at this point in time. Yeah,
she's very good at sustaining her way through the jungle, and of course can build that Magus enchant on her whatever jungle item she decides to go for. So we'll get cooldown reduction and a bunch of AP off that if she wants to go for the sort of more heavy AP build. You do still have things like the Juggernaut enchantment. You could go for Devourer as well. You're relatively quick at clearing out your jungle. I expect to see a Ranger's Trailblazer coming out from her. That's what we tend to see. It's the safe jungle item, gives you that quick clear speed, gives you the ability just to melt away through your own jungle and then come in for the ganks. But she has a few other opportunities. Go for a Skirmisher's Saber if you want to get that extra true damage off. You can melt people down relatively quickly, especially if you have the Magus enchant as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of build pass you could potentially go for Elise, like you were saying. I mean, I probably would be seeing the Magus enchant, or maybe the Juggernaut if you want to go for an old school. Looks like there's going to be a potential.
They do manage to put the ward down. Actually, Slight gets hit up there by the Howling Gale. They're going to chase onto him. He's going to have to back away. And that's actually really good here for the Cambridge Dongers bot lane. They're going to have at least 10 to 15 seconds, maybe even actually 20 seconds, especially since Slight still hasn't backed away. They're going to have a good wave, maybe a wave and a half here. Good play from Carnifexism just to be able to put some extra pressure on this lane. And it actually looks like Slight's going to stay around.
He can't back. He'd lose way too much by backing at this point. So the impetus is going to be so much in favour of Carnifexism and Bezwar in this bot lane. And Bezwar now just heading to lane. He isn't going to even miss a minion for helping out Ovidius clear those drugs. And again, they can afford to be aggressive. The pot has already been popped. Does mean he's going to have a lot of health back, but they've lost a lot.
He's still not full health, though.
He's still not full health,
He's got Carnifexism on full mana, on full HP. He can be as aggressive as he wants, and now Slight has to be so careful. We do have a pause coming out. Quickly, let's talk a little bit about skill choices in the mid lane. We talked about LeBlanc in the last game, leveling up that distortion to get the wave clear off against the Lissandra. This game I expect to see more of Sigil of Malice coming out. She doesn't need it as much wave clear against the Kassadin. You can put a lot more harassment down, and you use the distortion just to proc the Sigil of Malice extra damage.
Well, because obviously Kassadin had his Force Pulse damage nerfed, a lot of Kassadins don't opt to level that anymore as quickly. So again, both of them have pretty weak wave clear. So like you said, you can afford to be more aggressive with that Sigil of Malice, as we do get immediately back into game there. So, like you said, I expect the Sigil of Malice to be the skill of choice to be leveled up, and we're seeing it first level here, and actually level 2 being hit very early on. He's going to go for a bit of an aggressive, and that's the Null Sphere that I'm talking about. Negates a lot of the damage there. Oh wow, Carnifex is really going aggressive on Slight. Slight having a bit of a tough time. Fortunately, due to that early potential invade from, I think they were trying to stop the Krugs was the idea behind that, and I think they realised that and waited for it. So really great play from Cambridge off the bat here, and FM definitely looking like they're struggling, especially in this bot lane.
I think the fact that Slight got caught by both the Resonating Strike and the Howling Gale really made it difficult for him in that lane, because if he'd only got caught by the Howling Gale, he would have been able to Valkyrie away or get away anyway. I think he'd actually leveled his Phosphorus Bomb by that point, which it's something that you do see Corkies do. You see lots of people leveling the skill that they want to take first already before they get into the lane or into their fight. But sometimes it's better just to wait that little bit of extra second and then just very quickly control W, control E, get that skill up, and then you can get away. You lose a little bit of pressure in your lane, but you don't die, basically. You don't lose all of this extra pressure. Dan coming in for Quad Cannon, though. Gonna be able... Quad Cannon dodging out the Cocoon, but he's not in a good position now. He doesn't try and duke out with that clone. Dan's gonna put extra pressure down. Doesn't have to flash away, though. Dan tanks up 2 tower shots, and VDS from the side will help just protect out his mid laner, but Quad Cannon put himself in a risky position, actually, there with the Duke. Tundra going very low in the top lane, does pop the Equilibrium Strike, and will be able to keep himself alive versus Maznarek. Now, no mana on either of these top laners.
Yeah, and again, Malphite having a good time of this right now. Everyone seems to have started Crystalline Flask this game. There's a Tundra definitely having a little bit of going on. Actually, I was so impressed with that play from Quad Cannon there. It was very, very aggressive. He's starting to struggle as he's losing out on mana at this point. So the pressure put down from Dan has really helped out the mid lane Chriso at this point in time. Everywhere on FM seems to a slow start though. Everyone's starting to struggle a little bit as Maznarek is being very aggressive onto Tundra's top lane. The further this goes, though, the more you've got to give it in favour of Tundra. I think there's a small opportunity, small window of time where there's a lot of potential for Maznarek to be aggressive. He's gone the AD path on Malphite, which means his auto attacks can be fairly potent in the early game. And look at the CS difference starting to build up in the bot lane, almost hitting 10 at 4 minutes. And it's just the lane control that this Cambridge bot lane do have at this moment in time.
Slight still hasn't backed as well, hasn't been able to go back and heal himself up. Carnifex isn't taking a little bit of damage, has popped his own pot, and it's back to almost full HP. It's like having to farm with Phosphorus Bomb is really not what you want to do in what's meant to be an aggressive lane. Thresh Corki, known for landing those early hooks, known for getting those plays down as well, and then play into Phosphorus Bomb is so devastating if it's clocked correctly. Quad Cannon needs to be careful here, but does have the decision to jump away. He gets stunned up though, he does land the Ethereal Chains onto Dan, and that Spider's going to have to skitter her way away, because he needs to be careful with a LeBlanc around.
A lot of pressure being put down onto LeBlanc, and actually means that Dan spending less time in his jungle, giving Ovidius the chance to farm up here. So we're seeing the opposite of what we saw from Lee Sin earlier on, where Lee Sin on, I believe it was Panda, struggling in that first game. Yeah. But right now it's Ovidius putting his time into farming. Hasn't had a lot of opportunity to make his presence felt on the map, because everywhere has been doing fairly well by itself. So all of the lanes have been moderately pushed. It's just that top lane that was ever so slightly pushed in favour of Tundra earlier on, but not for long. And Tundra now starting to get the winning wins in this top lane with the winning wins. The winning wins. It was an analogy I was going for.
So, you know, he's definitely doing well in the top lane. Giant Spell being finished on Maznarek will give him a little bit more tankiness. Bezwar was trying to stop the backs here from Slight and Billy Fufu, but they do get away, and it is a 15 CS lead. Now, not even a Phage picked up on the first back there from Slight, so he's going to have a big struggle in this lane, especially with actually not going to be a BF sword. It's going to be a pickaxe here picked up onto Carnifexism, so he's building towards that Infinity Edge, but not quite enough gold for the BF sword. Chris is going to get jumped on. VD is coming in from the side. He has to flash away. Doesn't have Riverwall. Yeah, they're going to keep going on to this one. Quad Cannon's there. He hasn't got 6, so he jumps in. Now he hits it. First blood goes down to Quad Cannon. VDS tanks up the tower for a couple of seconds, and Quad Cannon hits the 6, picks up first blood, and LeBlanc is on a roll.
There we go. Quad Cannon has that start that he needs, and now can he do what he needs to do to push themselves? A lot of damage coming down onto Dan here. Didn't have the opportunity to follow it up with a distortion because of that one push coming up from Dan. But right now, FM starting to struggle, not looking as strong as
Tundra trading very well in top lane onto Maznarek. He hit level 6 first. Maznarek needs to be careful. Does the seismic shard to get himself away. But as you say, yeah, Dan does need to be careful. And Quad Cannon, he can get something out of this, out of getting the first blood. Actually engaging the bot lane, engaging in the top lane meanwhile as well. Tundra very low, Maznarek very low. Everyone's so low. There's still a lot of mana on Tundra though. Meanwhile, bot lane, we see Carnifexism and Bezwar pushing out the FM bot lane. They're going to have to back away. Lots of extra damage coming out from the Graves Janna lane, and that Eye of the Storm giving you extra AD just enhances Graves' burst. Dan running up towards the mid lane, towards the top lane. He's going to go on to Maznarek. Maznarek has got flash available. He should be dead, but he's got that flash. Here comes Cocoon. He flashes it. Nicely done by Maznarek. The repel comes out. Dan is going to keep chasing. Can he chase down? No. Seismic shot. Tundra flashes in and picks up the killer with the assistance of Dan. Very well played there by FM eSports to get a counter kill, and meanwhile Chriso is rotating down towards the bot lane, does get spotted out and decides to back his way away.
I think Dan actually got the kill there in the top lane. One of his spiders picked up the last hit. Scumbag spider. And Tundra actually not managing to pick up the final blow. Means he'll have a little bit less gold to go back with, but again, gets a little bit of lane pressure. Actually teleports a minion here, which usually would be really bad, but considering how
Tundra's so low, he has to burn his teleport to get back into this. He does pop the Transcendent Blades, and he gets a lot of lifesteal off that. But yeah, as you said, the teleport to minions usually would be awful because the cooldown is longer. But because he was trying to force Tundra back towards his tower, it was actually a very smart move. Didn't work out, but was really smart. Dan, there's a spider in that bush. Maznarek, he needs to be careful. He hasn't got his ultimate available to try and get out of this one. Does Seismic Shard up? Is he going to be able to escape? No, because Tundra's going to Blade Surge. Hit and style, doing lots of damage. One more auto attack. Tundra! Oh, the red buff gets the kill, and Dan picks up 2 in the top lane. He is 2-0, the only person on his team to get kills thus far.
Very smart jungling in the sense that he knew as soon as Maznarek came back to lane that he wouldn't have his flash, wouldn't have his ultimate. And hook goes on to Carnifexism.
The hook does go on to Carnifexism, but they need to be careful. There's a lot more damage on the Graves Janna bot lane here. Dongers push them away, and even though Billy Fufu lands a good hook, 2 level 6s already for Cambridge Dongers, meaning they have to be so careful in this lane.
Yeah, they aren't. They actually, sorry, I don't say they are, but they are looking like they're dominating right now with the CS difference. And look at the damage coming out from Quad Cannon too. He is also having a fantastic time of it. Casting going towards that Rod of Ages means that the AP will be heavily in favour of Quad Cannon in this mid lane. But obviously, the more points you put into Null Sphere, the more damage you can negate with the shield. So Quad Cannon is going to have to be very sneaky and very aggressive with the way he wants to exploit and put the damage down.
Blue buffs given across towards the mid lane is, as you'd expect, really. Quad Cannon needs to be spamming out spells as much as he can. Dan coming in for a gank in the bot lane. Bezwar does get the Howling Gale off. Dan has just hit level 7. The Zephyr comes out. Flash hook from Billy Fufu, not going to connect, nor is the Cocoon. Flash away from Carnifexes, and they might try and turn this one round a little bit because they do have those ultimates available, but they decide just to back all the way out. Dan running back towards his minions as well.
He might just come around again, but there is a ward there.
There is a ward, and we saw how quickly Cambridge Dongers reacted there. They did have to burn the flash on Carnifexes just because of that Cocoon, but the Howling Gale came out quickly. They have the Monsoon available as well. Not quite enough mana on Janna to use it at the moment, but will have enough mana in just a second. And there is another ping on the bot lane, as you say.
Quad Cannon is so aggressive in this mid lane. Playing so well at this point in time.
Here comes the spider from the bush. He gets the flash Cocoon onto Carnifexes and doesn't manage to get away. Billy Fufu with a heal. They're going to chase onto him. The counter heal. The hook's going to land, and that's a dead Graves. He goes down. Slight picks up the kill. Dan trying to chase onto the Janna as well. Not able to connect there, but meanwhile, Quad Cannon has forced Chriso back in the mid lane, going to put a lot of pressure on this tower. Good fights for FM eSports after a great start for Cambridge Dongers means that the gold is perfectly equal at the moment. 10 minutes into the game.
I've got to say though, all the pressure on bot lane has left this mid lane open for Quad Cannon to take that mid lane tower away. So not a bad trade for Cambridge all in all. I've got to say though, Dan has been impressive. Been far more impressive than Avidius.
Hunter's been impressive as well. Equilibrium strike here. There's the unstoppable force from Malphite to get away. He's 2 levels behind in that lane though. He needs some jungle pressure.
He does, and Avidius unfortunately hasn't had the time to invest in that top lane. He's really been focusing on Quad Cannon. He needs to go and help out that top lane. 2 levels behind. Chandra is just going to snowball like crazy from this point in time. But Dan is doing work. That has really been the essence of this early game for FM. Without Dan, I think they would have really struggled at this point.
Most definitely. Quad Cannon doing well in the mid lane as well. He's 25 CS, 15 CS ahead of Chriso. He's going to jump in onto him here, but the Rift Walk from Chriso does just manage to get himself away. Dan, as you said, doing so much work. He's understanding when he can come around for those ganks. He's understanding what the other team is doing, and he's looking at mana bars as well, which is something we don't talk about a huge amount of the time, but the reason he was able to get that gank off in the bot lane for the second time was because there was no Monsoon available on Janna. He wasn't able to knock him back because he didn't have the mana for it, and that's just the next level jungling. I mean, lots of us look at mana bars, but he's just doing it a little bit better at the moment than a lot of
Quad
people.
Cannon a little bit too aggressive. He's going to get caught out.
Very aggressive. Chriso is there. Quad Cannon lands the ethereal chains onto a minion. Not what you want to target, and Quad Cannon should go down here. Dan is on a killing spree, 3-0. That spider doing a lot of work across the map.
Yeah, Quad Cannon knowing that burning his flash would have been potentially futile, as it would have just been followed up by a Rift Walk there. A hook, oh, nicely dodged by Carney right at the end. But
be careful because Dan's coming in. He's got Mobies as well. He's building towards that Juggernaut with the Rangers Trailblazer, and Carnifex is not in the best position. He gets played. There's the box as well, going to slow him up for days. There's the Monsoon. Dan's actually going to get locked under the tower for a second, but Carnifex should just go down here. Tries to get the counter kill. Bezwat's going to be the next target. A hook landing on a minion. He'll be able to escape towards safety. But as you said, Dan is doing so much work.
Dan is a really good pickup for Infused, and to be honest, and Billy...
For FM, yeah.
Sorry, for FM, I keep saying that. Yeah. We've cast 2 games with Infused. I unfortunately have Infused on my mind. Yeah, Dan is such a good pickup for FM. And also, really Infused jungler called Dan doesn't help.
it does not help at all.
But I mean, Billy was a brilliant jungler, don't get me wrong. But I feel like mechanically brilliant, Billy was amazing. I feel like Dan has just got more lane pressure.
Here comes the bot lane. There's the Dragon's Rage, and here comes Quad Cannon as well. Valkyrie away by Slight. He's going to go down. Billy Fufu will be the next target. Vidius actually might get taken out in return. Not quite enough damage. Quad Cannon picks up his second kill. They're going to turn onto Billy Fufu. There's a teleport coming in behind him. They need to be careful, but Quad Cannon should be able to lock down this kill before the teleport comes in. It's cancelled out anyway, so Quad Cannon will miss the ethereal chains. Vidius is there with the Q just in case, and Quad Cannon does pick up his third kill of the game. They need to be careful. Chriso looked like he was coming down. Dan's there as well. Chriso is coming onto Quad Cannon. Not quite going to be there. Around the corner. Quad Cannon manages to escape, and they just back away towards that mid lane. Can't get any objective off it as well because not enough people for FM to take that dragon, and VDS too low to be able to tank that one up for his team. So neither team getting a huge amount out of that. after the 2 kills went across the Cambridge Dongers.
Is being pinged back here to go and help out this red buff. Yeah. Quad Cannon knows what's going on. I don't think
he can do anything.
They can't do anything about it right now. There's too much power on the side of Dash to actually gone for the Juggernaut in time, and like I said, so pretending to be a little bit more tanky, at least. So going for that very old school, utility-based at least.
Which makes sense. Instead of the Mages, you don't have many tanks on the team. Irelia gets tanky as you get late into the game just passively, but not really as tanky as you would like. So with Quisso not having his Rod of Ages yet, not being able to stack up a little bit of extra health on him, getting the extra tankiness on your jungler who is so far ahead really works out well, especially with the tenacity you get off the Juggernaut as well. Going to help out Dan as he gets into these team fights as we get later into the game. Vidius is going to come onto Tundra, and they're going to try and get onto the top lane, but Tundra able to blade surge his way away. And meanwhile in the bot lane, Carnifexism started off really well, is now 0-2.
Yeah, and Carney, unfortunately not having the wonder game that he had previously versus Infused, he's definitely struggling on this Graves, but it's all really...
Vidius trying to steal away the red buff, does pick it up, but he's going to chase onto Dan. Actually a level up on Dan here as well. Dan's trying to turn it around. There's a hook in the bot lane too. There's the box as well. Bezwar's going very low. The exhaust onto Slight will keep him from doing too much damage. Meanwhile, Dan and Vidius picks up the kill. Top lane, Tundra is going onto Maznarek, and the hook in the bot lane not going to connect onto Carnifex, and they back away. But Quad Cannon going up for this gank with Vidius onto Tundra in the top lane. He's gone very aggressive, pop that Transcendent Blaze as well. Maznarek trying to bait him out. Here's the Unstoppable Force. Here comes Vidius as well. Going to put a lot of damage down onto Tundra. Can he do his big outplay on the Irelia? No, he can't. He gets taken out by Quad Cannon. Hook lands on Bezwar though. The Monsoon was gorgeous and keeps him alive. Carnifex isn't going to chase down onto Billy Fufu. Has to back away ever so slightly. No mana on him and no health on his support means they have to just leave out this lane.
Wow, action across the map right there, but as you said, the bot lane from Cambridge and just not having the same level of game they had previously had such a great start, and they were dominating this lane.
It's Dan. Dan coming in with those 2 ganks really messed them up.
Dan really put a lot of pressure on and helped this FM bot lane out, and they needed it. They needed that pressure to be able to survive this out. And
talking of Dan, he's coming in for a gank with Quisso here. They're just going to clear out this pink ward. Dan actually going to start up Dragon.
Yeah, he's going to. They know that the bot lane from Cambridge is so low that no one could react to it easily. So obviously, Janna potentially has the only way to deal this with a Howling Gale. A teleport coming in
as well. Yeah, this is actually really good because there's Quad Cannon off to the side. He's got his Deathfire Grass now as well. They have to be so careful around him. And they do manage to stop that dragon. Malphite is not big, but he's tanky. He's almost got a Sunfire cape, and he's got those Mercury treads as well. So they have to be careful around him. It gives time for Carnifexism to back, and hopefully they can help secure this dragon. They didn't realize there was a ward in the back of this pit. FM eSports thought they cleared it all out, didn't realize they were getting spotted out by Cambridge Dongers, and the Dongers were able to stop that dragon attempt.
The problem with Maznarek is he's 2 levels down on Tundra, so he hasn't got that level 2 ultimate that Tundra does have in the bag. Also, Tundra having also gone past that wonderful power spike that Irelia gets at level 5 Heightened style, he'll be really strong. Hasn't finished off his Trinity Force yet, but definitely has some of the key components for Irelia as Maznarek gets hooked and cocooned there. But there is potential for a wombo combo from Cambridge. All it takes is a lot of damage coming out from Quad Cannon and a good collateral damage. Look at the item choice.
Yeah, Yumu's Ghostblade first is an interesting item choice. Gives you that extra armor penetration and of course the attack speed, but I guess attack speed works well with your quick draw because every auto attack reduces the cooldown by a second. I'm not sure of it as an itemization choice, but Carnifex knows a lot more about Graves than I do.
For the more potential to kite the Tundra, who's obviously quite fed and quite ahead at the moment with 2 levels up on their own top laner. So maybe looking just for the fact he wants to survive, use the extra movement speed for his
I guess you're getting the extra AD from the Eye of the Storm as well, so you don't need to itemize straight AD like you usually would, like the Infinity Edge.
It's very interesting. Yeah. I'll give it that. I'm not sure if it was the correct build path, but interesting build nonetheless, especially for a Graves, who doesn't really have any combination with his auto attacks. There isn't, it's not something like Twitch where getting more auto attacks off quickly means you can get a good expunge off, or getting more auto attacks off during rapid attack means you have the extra AD and things. But again,
Dongers are going to start the dragon, and there's the hook onto Vidius. He's going to be the target. Billy Fufu pops down the bot. Tundra jumps onto Quad Cannon. Dan picks up Vidius, and that's a good kill. Takes out the jungle. The collateral damage comes down. Tundra's very, very low. Dan there, the Monsoon as well. Quad Cannon so low in the backline. Mesneric is the target. Tundra almost goes down, but doesn't quite. Mesneric does get taken out by Billy Fufu. Carnifexism has to flash away, but Slight going to Valkyrie and trying to chase this one down. Nice hand again across a bunch of them. Quisso gets knocked up by that as well, but FM eSports win the fight, should take the dragon.
Yeah, I'm not really sure the shot calling behind that Cambridge decision there, because they really just aren't ahead enough on levels to contend. You've got 1 level down on your mid laner, 2 levels down on your top laner. There just wasn't really the right settings. We'll see it
have a look
here,
at the replay.
But everyone's grouped. It's a Vidius that gets burst. That's really key, because as soon as the jungler goes down, you've just lost majority of your dragon pressure. You didn't even get a Dragon Rage kickoff. A good disengage, but then obviously there was a big chase onto Tundra.
I feel Masneric chased Tundra for way too long there. He should have been the tank at the front line.
And then Carney gets locked up as well, and unfortunately just a little bit too close. They were grouped up, and obviously the right targets were taken down very early for Cambridge. So
all credit to Billy Fufu landing that hook on Vidius as well. Across the Baron wall, they went all in, locked them out of their Dragon Pit with the bots, and just meant that there's a thing about team fights where if you reduce your opponent's mobility, it can be just as detrimental to them as reducing their damage or doing damage to them, because you lock them out of positioning in the fight. If they can't group up in the way they want to, you can then start picking them off, which is what we saw. Tundra jumped in, then was able to kite backwards. Masneric chased for a bit too long, and the rest of his team was out of position.
And again, there's a low flat AD value on Graves right now, so he's actually going to struggle to do lots of damage with his auto attack, which is why I find this Yumu's Ghostblade really interesting choice, because usually you buy it if the attack speed really means something to you, in the sense you can get it on Vayne because the Silver Bolt's proc more easily. You can get it on Twitch because you can get more attacks per rat-tat-tat. It doesn't really have the same impact with Graves. Yeah, you can get your quick draw off.
Oh my god, he's jumped on. Chriso is here, but so is Quad Cannon. Chriso gets locked down, but Rip walks away. Billy Fufu knocked up by the Hound and Gale. They need to be careful because Dan is trying to sneak his way in the side. Flash Cocoon onto Bezwa. That Jan is going to go down so quickly. Slight picks up the kill. Vidius there with the Dragon's Blade as well, but they can't keep fighting this one out. Chriso's going to jump off the Carnifexes, and he's got no mana. Quad Cannon gets onto Slight, does get the kill, and jumps out as well. Nicely done by him. Vidius and Billy Fufu. Quad Cannon picks up 2. Can they turn this round? Actually, Vidius picking up the kill there, but it's Chriso and Dan, the 2 fed members, and Chriso picks up a double kill. And Dan is very, very tanky at the moment. Quad Cannon did a great job to pick up a kill and an assist in that fight, but still, you'd have to say went in favor of FM eSports.
5-1-1 on Quad Cannon, definitely having a pretty decent there. So it's something to watch out for FM, because if you can get the burst onto key targets before the fights happen, then obviously Cambridge do have the potential to go on to do some serious damage. Berserker's Greaves now being picked up on Carney, and I do feel like this build pass is going to severely delay the damage he could be doing on. Because of the way Graves works, he benefits from flat AD a lot. I mean, collateral damage, he's got good AD scaling. Buckshot's got great AD scaling. It's just the fact that he's gone for this death still, I'd say that too much at the moment. I do feel like it was potentially a bad choice. He should have saved for that reactor.
Yeah, quite possibly, but he knows how he wants to itemize. He knows how his team wants him to itemize as well. Might have been a team decision just saying, just get as many auto attacks off as you can in the fight, but it is an interesting itemization choice, one we don't see too often. Anyway, we do see that Quad Cannon has got that blasting one. He has to be building up for a needlessly large rod here, going towards the Rabadons you'd expect on that LeBlanc. Maybe even going for a Zhonya's just to make sure that he could get a few more combinations off in team fights, but Rabadons will just give him that little bit more burst, a little bit more damage in the fight. Doesn't quite have enough gold for it now, though.
Interestingly, FM have now taken the gold lead for the first time, so they're eventually getting themselves ahead after taking a little bit of dragon control.
They're only 1 dragon up though, so it's still a very, very tight game.
Yeah, obviously there's no dragons inside of Cambridge, so the dragon control is firmly in FM's ball court right now, so they definitely have the potential to go on to stranglehold this game just through the continuous rotation through objectives and other such things. But really, Cambridge haven't had that bad of an early game. They're not too far behind.
Bezwa, the target here has to flash away. He knew the hook was coming in. It was pinged out by all of the FM eSports team, and like it's just a little bit of mispositioning there from Bezwa. Means he almost got caught out.
The only real discrepancy here is just the top lane discrepancy between Tundra and Masneric, and you're just seeing it. In fact, Tundra is about 1.5 gold ahead of Masneric. And Masneric has only managed to finish up a Sunfire Cape and Mercury Tread. So he's really starting to struggle, as well as the CS difference. And you're seeing Tundra pick up a Brutalizer. So not going to opt for that Zephyr or Blade of the Ruined King. He himself may be going for a Yumumus, which probably is the likely choice of item. You can also go towards a Black Cleaver, but I don't think
it's far enough ahead to go.
It's not even that. It doesn't affect the team too much. You know,
with an AP jungler, you don't have as much.
And also, you know, you've got a semi-AP caster carry, and you've also got himself doing true damage most of the time, so wouldn't make much sense. The Yumumus makes much more sense, allows him to stick with the movement speed, allows him to get that attack speed increase too, so probably something that we're likely to see Tundra.
And because we see the Juggernaut coming out from Dan as well, he's able to go for a sort of more aggressive build in the top lane. Doesn't need to be as tanky as perhaps you would want him to be perhaps if you had the Magus enchantment on Dan, because he would be a little bit squishier, doing a little bit more damage. But Tundra's definitely one of the primary damage outputs at the moment for the FME team.
Yeah, I mean, Castin has managed to build up a Sheen, so the Netherblade will be doing a little bit more damage, but again, he's a little bit far off the damage that Quad Cannon is putting in terms of flat burst.
Quad Cannon actually gone Void Staff as well.
Yeah, really just gone for... You actually tend to see that when you're behind, because you think the magic penetration comes in far more useful, you can get it a lot more quickly, and it's more gold efficient and more time efficient to go for that Void Staff, so maybe Quad Cannon thinking he's a little bit further behind than they actually are, but again, he probably wanted that immediate impact, didn't want to wait for that Rabadon, and he's just going straight for the Void Staff to counteract any magic resist, which could be, looks like it's coming out from the Null Magic Mantle being picked up on Elise. I think maybe going towards a Aegis of the Legion over there.
Quad Cannon needs to be careful here. He did start his backing animation there, and with Dragon up in 13 seconds, that would spell a free Dragon for FME eSports. We do see Vidius trying to get in. Maz now gets the hook onto him. Foster's bomb comes in. Unstoppable force on 2. Here comes Quad Cannon as well. Jump to Slight on the back line, not able to connect though, and Tundra has teleported in as well. Quad Cannon's going to be the target.
Nice
beautiful Monsoon. Transcender Blaze is enough though. Chriso Rip walking in as well. The FME eSports do pick up Quad Cannon. Vidius wasn't there for any of that fight. Kind of jumps in. They need to be careful because Tundra's still there. Nice Dragon's Rage. Here comes Vidius, picks up one. Chriso's there as well. He said God's out. It's a 4v4 fight in the river now, and it looks like FME eSports are on the back foot, retreating through their own jungle, through their own blue buff, because Billy Fufu is so low. Slight down to half HP as well, and it's only Chriso really available with Tundra to try and protect this Dragon.
Yeah, I think this will be a stalemate over the Dragon right now. I don't expect Cambridge to commit to it again like they did last time, but that kick from Avidius
so good.
Definitely saved the day in terms of losing the Dragon. I mean, Quad Cannon had played that fairly okay, but there was just so much defense on top of Slight that he didn't have the chance to get the burst down.
If the Ethereal Chains had hit just before the Valkyrie came out, then he would have got the kill. He would have got that Sigil of Malice, but didn't quite manage to connect.
I don't know what Carney was doing there. That was crazy. That was the flash buckshot potential.
I think he was trying to kill out Slight.
He really wanted to get that collateral damage back on the end of Slight, but unfortunately he doesn't really have the flat damage because he went that Yumi's first.
He's got a BS sword now though, so he's getting a little bit more AD under his belt. We did see Maznac just backing, does have teleport available. Tundra is right there. He teleports in. Bezwa gonna get jumped on by Tundra. Look at the damage. Vidius actually jumps into a hook, tries to flash out, has to jump away. The Dragon is gonna go across to FME eSports here. There's no way they can contest this. Maznac trying to push into it. They need to stop this one. Cambridge Dongers have to back away. Maznac gets hooked in, tries to flash away. He fails it across the wall. He's going to have to run his way away now. Doesn't have unstoppable force either. Quad Cannon jumped up by Tundra. Will be able to distort his way away with that double distortion from the Mimic. Maznawick gets caught up in the cocoon. And Slight picks up the kill onto that rock. A good little fight from FME eSports. A little bit of overextension there from Cambridge Dons.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... it looks so close in gold, but FM are
two Dragons now.
And it's also because a lot of gold is focused onto... Quad Cannon.
Yeah.
Really is the most of the gold is being focused onto him. You can see from everyone else's stats that there's no other way that the gold is coming in terms of Cambridge's favour. It's all on Quad Cannon. So if Quad Cannon isn't doing anything, or Quad Cannon is getting burst, or he's being focused out of the fight, then you're just going to see FM, who have a global gold advantage across the team, doing far better in these engagements.
One thing they've done a really good job of is letting Carnifexes and CS in the bot lane. He's been down there a lot. He's about 40 CS ahead of his lane opponent, which is not making up for that 4-kill disparity, but still getting him just closer and closer. If he can get to an Infinity Edge, you have to think that Cambridge Dongers are still in this. Double Aegis as well.
I know, and it's because of the fact that obviously LeBlanc is the most fed. That's why you're not seeing Quad Cannon have much of an impact, because double Aegis, although the buffs don't stack, you can double shield. So that's a big shield coming out from both Dan and Billy Fufu, and it just means that FM are so hard to kill in these fights. It's just ridiculous how much they're negating the gold that's on top of Quad Cannon right now, because there's nothing else really on the side of Dongers that's posing any threat. I mean, you've got Yumumu's no eye edge Graves at this point in time, and really the only real damage, like we said, is just Quad Cannon.
Yeah.
So
it's always been the danger with LeBlanc as well. You can get ahead, but if the enemy team starts building magic resist and you're not getting enough magic penetration, he's got his Void Staff, but he needs to get perhaps a Haunting Guise or a Leandries or something like that, just to, well, probably a Haunting Guise, not the Leandries yet, but just to get a little bit of extra penetration. Maznaric's going to get jumped on by Tundra, and here's Vidius as well. Tundra can probably 2v1 this. we do see Bezwar coming in and trying to fight out with this one as well. The Hex Trigger has been procced. There's the Exhaust. Tundra will go down to VDS there. He picks up his 4th kill of the game, but having to put that many people onto Tundra, it's so difficult for them to actually continue the fight as they come back towards mid lane. They've already used a lot of ultimates, used a lot of skills. Quad Cannon trying to get into the side. Carnifex and actually pop few moves to try and clear out this wave, but Billy Fufu just knocking out Quad Cannon to the side. Look how much damage he takes. That's a half HP just from a Force Pulse in the Nossphere, and the tower will go down in favor of FM. Yeah,
and also you got to point out the fact that there's real lack of damage in terms of champions too on the side of Cambridge. I mean, you've got a Malphite who's built full tank that's not going to provide a solid source of damage in your team fights. He's really that team fight orientated, unstoppable force coming out of himself. And I think VDS managed to smite that away.
I think he's got a red buff, but so slight.
No, slight managed to pick that one up.
Okay, yeah.
And also you've got a lack of damage from Graves, like we've talked about previously. And obviously Lee Sin is not going to scale at this point in time, even with the Warriors and Champion. You're 30 minutes into the game. He's not going to be doing the same damage that he was early on. So like we said, there's just not enough damage coming down from the Cambridge side, and it's all on Quad Cannon, and FM have basically itemized against that, and they've just negated the only real threat on the side of FM. Yeah. That's right, on the side of
Cambridge Dongers, yeah. Quad Cannon does jump onto Slight, gets him down to half HP with that combo, but the double Aegis is definitely helping him out. Slight is built that Trinity Force, which gives you a little bit more tankiness. You expect it on Corki as well, but you get a little bit of health off that as well, which is quite nice. But it's just they're struggling to actually make any picks, do anything with this LeBlanc pick. They got the first blood, and after that, he just hasn't really rotated as well as perhaps you would have liked him to. We see always Tundra's pushing the top lane. He's always got teleport available as well. With the Dragon coming up in 2 minutes, you have to expect that to be a point of contention soon.
It probably will, yeah. I mean, there's only a 3k difference as well at this point in time. The gold difference is minute, really. If you think about it at this stage in the game, you probably say 3k in most senses isn't that bad of a difference.
Anything.
Obviously, you don't tend to see these giant gold gaps appear at 20 minutes because it's 4.2. It's so difficult to get global gold in the map because Dragon is no longer giving you. But you get a pseudo gold from Dragon because of the stats that it gives you. As Tundra is just such a force in this top lane. Actually went for a Hex Drinker, not going to upgrade that Brutalizer anytime soon, and has gone for the Glacial Shroud, so probably going towards a Frozen Heart, I imagine. Or maybe even a Iceborne Gauntlet, which is something we don't tend to see on Aurelia's, so
I doubt it with the Sheen already being picked up in the Triforce. You don't really want to double up that Spellblade passive, but Frozen Heart makes a bit of sense. You're slowing the attack speed coming out from Graves, especially since he's gone for a U-move first. It shows that he was trying to prioritize that attack speed, and all that Tundra's going to be doing in these fights is trying to get onto that Graves, trying to get onto Quad Cannon as well. He just wants to be as sticky as possible, and if he can get close to them and slow down their attack speed, slow them from being able to use that quick draw often, will be very good for the FM eSports team. Infinity Edge has been completed on Carnifexism. It's 45 seconds to the Dragon, and you have to expect Cambridge Dongers to try and put some pressure on the map, trying to get some vision around there, because FM eSports at the moment have basically that entire place. They know where Cambridge Dongers are going to be the entire time. They don't even need to ward River because they can ward a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, and although they're trying to be aggressive, Obedius here looking like he wants to get some ward clearage out. I really don't think, even if they went for the aggressive plays, there's much that could be done from the Cambridge side of things at this point in time. They've just not got enough on the board to deal with the tankiness and the effectiveness of this FM lineup right now. Tundra is really the driving force behind this. He's got so much on him that allows him to be tanky and sticky. He's got the Hex Drinker, he's got that Glacial Shroud, he's got Trinity Force. They're going to get hooked onto Bezwar.
They've given up top tower here.
Exactly.
Tundra still has teleport as well. Either they have to force a fight right now and go for Dragon, or they're going to lose an inhibitor tower.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Cambridge just need to make that decision. Looks like they're going to commit to the Dragon, which does mean that Tundra has got a lot of time to push down this top lane inhibitor tower. Damage coming down onto Bezwar right now, though. This could even go to 4v5.
Just walks straight in. The Dragon does go down to Cambridge. Bezwar's very low. Christo's very low as well, though. He's going to be the target. Teleport coming in. Dan is there. Tundra's trying to jump across the wall.
Tundra.
The play hits up too as well. Slight picks up the kill. Narik is the next target. Meanwhile, Quad Cannon trying to get off towards the side isn't actually able to get round on the fight. Kind of vexes him, getting taken quite low. Christo's there as well. They need to be careful because Quad Cannon, out of position, does have full mana and full HP, and a lot of damage with that Death by Goss already.
Tundra flashes on.
Tundra flashes on to Count Effects, and he gets away. Tundra goes back in though. Look at the damage. Slight picks up his another kill. 6 and 2 now. He's on a killing spree, and Quad Cannon useless and off towards the side, not able to get into that fight at all. He got Chriso down low, but then was forced out up towards the top side of the river.
Yeah, I feel with those Mercury treads and also the Null Sphere, Chriso is less than an attractive champion to go for the burst. You probably could even look to burst down Tundra or Dan or even Cork if you get close.
The damage on Quadcan does land the Ethereal Chains though. The Cocoon's not going to land on the side. He tries to distort away, but the Transcendent Blades not able to follow him. Tundra goes back around the side as he distorts back, and Quad Cannon goes down delayed after that team fight. I don't think they're going to go for the Baron here. It's quite risky, but there's just so much damage and so much team kite coordination coming out from the FM side right now. They're going to get ward down, so there could be a little bit of a defense mounted by the Cambridge side, but it's going to be difficult at this point in time. They've actually got a Abyssal Scepter being finished on the Malphite. Interesting pickup there. It will allow him to be a little bit more damage orientated, but at this point in the game, the small amount of AP that Abyssal Scepter provides probably won't make that much of a difference. Against a double Locket team, it's going to have a little bit less effectiveness. Obviously, you're going to burn through, if you're in the central team, you're going to burn through the buff that provides. Obviously, it gets sort of a counteraction of that Locket or the Iron Solari buff. In that sense, it's a nice pickup, but essentially, he's trying to be a tool for Quad Cannon, because I think they realize that Quad Cannon is essentially their saving grace. If they can allow him to get more damage down on the board in a team fight by using any sort of shredding capabilities that they can, it's more of a chance for them to come back into this. And that's really the only way I feel like they're going to win. But once LeBlanc gets one... Quadcan goes in, gets hooked in by Billy Fufu. This is very aggressive. VDS is there as well. Nice handling going on to Billy Fufu. He pops down the box, but Quadcan's going to chase onto him. Base of the mountain was used to try and keep himself alive. Along with that Aegis, he's going to go solo. Look at how long it takes. Kind of Vex and picks up one. Slight went in as well. Doesn't Valkyrie away. And a good little fight for the Dongers. Mean they're 11-6 down. They picked up one. Dan's going to go there. Nice one too, but Chriso's in the middle of it. He's got Ripwalk available in a second. Here comes Tundra. This is so dangerous. Quad Cannon off towards the side. Tundra jumps on Kind of Vex and flashes away. Chriso goes in as well. Medius is there. Chriso's picked up a double kill. Tundra on Matnaric now. And look at that. Dan picks up Quad Cannon towards the side. This is a fight for Tundra. And this is the fight for FM eSports. I mean, that was just the Lichbane Kassadin doing work in the middle of the team fight there. It was a nice pickup, but an overextension. Should have left Janna for dead, I think. That's going to be a trifecta going for this Baron at this point in time. A bit of a replay here, you'll see. A little bit of a delay on there, but obviously then Chriso has got the Zhonya's down. They're just going to go through. Tundra is doing all of the work at this point, goes straight onto VDS, but nothing much that the Cambridge side can do. They're just going against two incredibly fed carries, and they don't have the damage to contend with it once Quad Cannon is out of the fight. It's Tundra on Aurelia. Like, he does this every game. He doesn't get fed, but he doesn't feed, and then you get into sort of the 25-30 minute mark. Well, the thing that Tundra is doing, Tundra is really good at generating gold for himself without having to get kills. He's just solid top laner, farms incredibly well, and his Irelia play is always fantastic. And you know, Irelia is one of his best champions. He's had many highlight reels and his escapes, his plays, and you can see it right now. Gone for that Yumumus eventually, like we said, the Frozen Heart also being completed. This guy is going to be incredibly hard to deal with in the next few team fights. In Cambridge, definitely looking like they're on the down and potentially out of this group of teams. Especially with that Baron buff up, like FM are going to be able to push really easily. Probably going to go for a 1-4 split push comp here, because Aurelia can take out basically any two members of the Cambridge Strongest squad. They can push him out in that top lane. He's going to jump onto Mount Dark again, and look at that, level 18 to level 14. That is huge. Such a big disparity between those two laners, and as what you said, Tundra generates gold for himself, generates experience for himself somehow as well. And sometimes I even think he's running experience, runes, and masteries just to... he always seems to be a couple of levels ahead of his lane opponent. He's going to get locked down here a little bit by Matnaric. Quad Cannon coming into the side as well. But look at the Equilibrium strike! It was gorgeous! Tundra does get taken out. Doesn't manage to get the counter kill, but that means the rest of FM are able to push for this inhibitor tower in the mid lane, down to half HP already. The minions helping out a huge amount. Even with that Eye of the Storm, it's not going to survive for long. VDS gets locked up there by the hook and the cocoon. He flashes out into the box, does manage to safeguard away. Nice Howling Gale there. Nice Howling Gale as well. FM should get the inhibitor. It's the first inhibitor of the game, 37 minutes into it. FM picking that one up. The one problem with relying on a LeBlanc to carry you is you really need to take someone out before the fight starts. Because in the fight, once she's got one rotation off, there's a big downtime when she's waiting for the rest of her skills to come back. As does Bezwar, but like you said, there's just a little bit of downtime. He just goes in, but there's a hook from Billy Fufu. Dan not quite near enough. Billy Fufu basically sacrificed himself for this fight. Nospler's going to come in. Dan's in there as well. Bezwar's off to the side. Billy Fufu is going to get taken out by Quad Cannon. Nice one too. BDS actually gets taken out by Chriso. Dan is the next target here. Zero chance on him. The teleport coming in from Tundra. This is huge. Tundra is going to be absolutely massive as he comes in. Look at the damage. More Mortiers. Yomu's goes away. Quad Cannon dodging to the side. The home guards as well, not actually home guards. Distortion boots on, trying to going to speed him up as he goes in. Carnifexes next side. Look at the damage onto Carnifexes, and Chriso's going to chase onto Bezwa. Force pulse slows him down. Bezwa's going to go down. No spit. He uses the Carl's triple kill for Tundra. And meanwhile, bot lane, they're just pushing in past the inhibitor tower. The ace for Slight picks up that kill with the missile barrage. They're going to go for the Nexus inhibitor tower because they can't go for the Nexus towers because there are no minions.
Yeah,
they're going to go for a tower or some minions or something. They'll get some CS.
They've got some time to finish the game though. They can finish this turret out. They've got at least 30 seconds on the board.
Only 3 seconds on Vidius. Can he make a big loose in play? That's the question.
I think it'll be difficult. They are actually going to wait for him and actually going to back off and leave Tundra there by himself. They probably could have finished the game very...
Look at the damage from Tundra. Like, Transcendent Blaze is healing him up more damage than that laser does from the Nexus tower.
Yeah, maybe they're going to go full-on tutorial style and push down.
Got to take the top lane.
Take that top lane, inhibitor turret and inhibitor. But they definitely had the time on the board if they wanted to. They're playing it a little bit safer this time around. They're probably better safe than sorry. They want to make sure they get that first win behind their belts. And FM off to a brilliant start here. Cambridge Dongers unfortunately not had the best of starts and potentially will likely be unable to qualify now.
Well, they have to win this game to be able to qualify.
Yeah.
And they're not winning this game at the moment.
No, exactly.
Not at all. They're half the amount of kills of their opponents. They played superbly well. Like, they've just been out-rotated, out-team fought, really. The team fighting from FM eSports, always known as one of their strong suits, has been really, really on point in this game. And Dan's rotations early game, after Dongers took a good early advantage, Dan was superb in the jungle.
Well, technically, if UOpMate beat FM, and then Cambridge beat UOpMate, it would be hard to work out.
Yeah.
There'll be something that would.
I can't do the mental arithmetic right now.
There'll be a tiebreaker for at least, I think. So anyway, we're going to see them do exactly what we thought we'd do. Full-on tutorial style, go towards this top lane.
It's typical FM. They like to win the game properly.
Exactly. It hasn't been as dominant or as quick as the Infused games that we've seen. But they've done it in a style that is safer and more akin to the FM style that we've seen. Very safe and steady. Making sure
like
that
the old CLG EU. They like long games and they like to win properly.
Yeah, and obviously they don't take too many risks in their play. Infused are more prone to taking risks, and then obviously against some of the weaker teams, you see those risks pay off quite frequently. But you know, a lot of the way that Infused gets caught out sometimes is that they take those risks, and then the other team manages to capitalize on them. I mean, we've seen FM, you know, beat Infused previously, but the way that Infused have been playing, there's an engage though. There
is an engage. Look at that. They're going to go in with the unstoppable force. Slight gets taken out straight away. Quad Cannon there. Carnifexes and goes hooked in. Tundra's still alive though. The box goes down. Not going to hit up onto anyone. Quad Cannon's still on the back line. Carnifexes gets taken out. Tundra is the next target, but Quad Cannon gets hooked in. He'll be down, and Dan picks up the kill there. Vidius is the next target. And they do manage to pick up one with that unstoppable force engage, but they lose 3 for it. They're going to lose their Nexus towers as well. Tundra jumps onto Bezwa. Chriso gets in there as well. He's legendary at 8-1. The Nexus is going to go down. FM eSports take their first win of the day against the Cambridge Dongers. Really superb play by both teams.
Yeah, and to be honest, that was needed to happen. That was the engage that needed to take place. They had the pressure from the minions, and unfortunately, obviously, they were just too far behind at that point. They didn't have the damage. As soon as you had Quad Cannon out, we'd said it time and time again, as soon as Quad Cannon was out of the fight, Cambridge had nothing left in the tank. And despite everything they did, despite how far Quad Cannon was ahead, at one point he was 5-1-1, he wasn't able to carry the game out, and FM take a fantastic first win of the day here against Cambridge Dongers, relegating Cambridge into a pretty poor position to qualify from this Group A stages. But we are going to be back in a few minutes, guys. I believe it will be FM versus UOpMate. FM looking to secure their second win, UOpMate looking to level the standings.